Hi, this is Camilla, and welcome to Fairy Activism, um, Lighting Up the Earth. And I'm really excited to have this wonderful group here today. I'll switch back to gallery so we can all kind of say hi. And I know a number of you have been with me before. Is this their first time on Fairy Activism? Okay, great. So what I want to just share to begin with is a little bit about the format, and also if anyone has questions or anything. But why I began doing these was I felt a real call from the fairies, the elementals, the nature spirits, the tree spirits, all the beings of nature that we connect with that have really wanted us to be working with them more and giving them instructions, because we're, as humans, part of the circle. We're part of this co-creative energy. So they've been really excited to have two others of these, and now so this is the third one, and I kept feeling this energy lately, but it just hadn't felt like time. And then I kept feeling like they wanted us to do something about endings and beginnings. And so that's kind of what sort of the theme, but I don't really know what we'll be doing, but we'll be doing some kind of guided meditation. And I encourage everyone to just open to listening to the meditation, and you can go along with me, with the group, as we do this. But you're also welcome to, if you feel that you're guided to go somewhere else, or if you just want to sit in the presence of love and hold meditative space, like whatever you feel best doing, that's a really important contribution. Because some people get out there and they're like working with the dragons and they just start working and doing things with them. There's others that may go more with the fairies or with the mermaids or the clouds or the mountains. So really opening to whatever kind of spirits are calling you to work with them in this. And even if you don't get a sense of who they are, what's going on, just trust that you are part of the circle and you're here. And so you're needed. You're part of the weaving of this light. And I see it that it's both that we get to give back and share what healing the planet needs, what healing the elementals need. A lot of times I'm called to help bring light and healing to the beings, these unseen beings of light, um, these spirits. And so it could be that. There's just a lot of different ways that it can go. So I'm just opening to how that is. And so that act of being of service and offering this is also an opportunity for us to heal. And I feel that there's always this infinity loop between the giving and the giving and the receiving, that reciprocity. And so whenever I'm offering something in service, I'm always receiving, oh my gosh, I'm receiving so much light and healing. And so that's always the way that I approach this work, that just when we show up in service and love and just holding presence, even if we don't feel like we're doing something or taking action, just showing up and being here is very powerful. So I just want to thank you all for joining me for that. And so I'm going to share a little about some of the things that are coming in lately. Like I've been doing a lot of earth healing work lately that's been pretty strong, and just wanted to share a little bit about that, and then go into a guided meditation where I'll just start guiding it and taking us, opening up the circle and weaving together and moving together on this journey. And like I say, if you go somewhere else, that's fine, or just, honor that. So is there any questions on that before I kind of share a little more? I can open the gallery again. That good? Okay. Oh, and also it might be good for people to mute themselves if they're not talking, just for the sound, because that tends to be really good, a better quality. Thanks. Okay. Um, so what I wanted to share a little bit is partly because the reason I wanted to do this was, especially last week, it was crazy and chaotic, and there was a lot of energy flying around. And every time I was working on earth healing work or doing meditations with the earth, it was like there was just a lot of interference. It was almost like with Easter coming and this huge, I'm seeing it as really the second coming of Christ, is this energy that we're in, that we are opening to this amazing energy. And that is the new beginning. That is the golden age. That is the new earth, whatever you call that, this paradise we're creating. And but there's a lot of endings going on. And some of those endings are things people don't want to have end, like the patriarchy, like those who've been in power. And I know a lot of us have heard this before, but it just felt like a really strong need to be working together to really cleanse a lot of energy off the planet. And it's feeling a lot better. You may have been feeling that last week, just a lot of chaos. But there were certain kind of themes that were coming through also in some of the earth healing work. And I thought I'd just mention a few because you might even have noticed in your own experience. And then I'll let people share for a moment before we do the meditation as well. But one of the ways is merging the fire and the water, the plasma coming from the sun and that higher consciousness, that Christ consciousness, and how it's blending and meeting the water and merging and bringing more into, integrating more into the earth and also into our bodies. And so I was even noticing today there was a lot of tears and grief moving that was kind of like endings, so that I can make more space to receive more light. So we're kind of in this middle. And I thought this call might be helpful for us um, to open to how the fairies and elementals can help us create these endings and to open more to the new, and for the planet too. There was also work on Mother Earth's DNA, which was pretty powerful, working on the womb and ovaries of the Mother Earth, but also for women in general. There's a lot of unwinding, unraveling, especially the right ovary of that old energy. So some of these might come into in the meditation. There's a lot of old contracts being completed. And that sense of freedom. And there's some other things. I might wait to share the rest of those, but I think I'll just open it up for a few minutes here if anyone is kind of wants to speak on what they've been experiencing this last week, or the energy that we're in right now. I'll just open that up for a few minutes. Sylvia?
I can't even tell you how helpful it is to hear this, because I have been having such a hard time being a human being for me, it's been the last 24 hours. But I've had
Okay.
increasingly hard time when everybody else is having a hard time. Usually I don't have a hard time when other people are having a hard time. I have a lot of paradoxical responses to things. So often when other people are having difficulty, I don't experience it that way, which is difficult because I often just feel weird, or weirder than I already feel. It's a hard kind of weird. But I have had such a hard time today, and I've done my best not to ignore it. But that is my tendency, would be to get busy. And I knew I didn't want to do that, but I also don't have a good practice for how to just be in grief, because I've been experiencing so much grief.
Yeah.
I just can't. It's so hard to be a human being for me sometimes. Not in my own body. Like, I really love my physical. I have never loved myself in the way that I do now as I approach 60 in July. Yeah, okay. The Zoom neck is a problem for me. And so I often do this on Zoom. And I'm noticing the end in a way I haven't before physically. And yet I have never felt so beautiful as a human being and so aligned with my soul's purpose. And doing what I love to do and what I feel I'm here for more than ever. And God, being a human being, what the heck? I don't really get it a lot of the time. And I look around and it makes me so sad. And I had a beautiful realization in the middle of this thought last week, like, oh, I know what I am. My mom's been asking me what my job is. My mom lives in New York City. So there are all sorts of people asking for like the resume, the CV. What's your CV? Because I can't tell her what I do. But I realized what I do. And I told her, I said, I am an employee of the Muggle Education Association. My job on the planet is to educate Muggles, to magic, because I spent a lot of time as a Muggle. It was never my favorite thing, but I know how to do it really well. All my education has trained me, like I have that total left brain education, right? And it's never suited me, but I do have it, and I have that access to those levels of Muggle land. And it just makes me so sad. I just don't like this last day.
Yeah.
It's been so hard being a human and seeing what is going on the planet.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
thank
So
you.
I'm so glad to be here. I wasn't
Yeah.
planning on it. There's another Fairy Congress thing happening right now, which
Oh.
so
Whoops.
I was like, but
Whoops.
oh, thank you all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just really glad to be here.
Thank you for being real and authentic with that. I spent most of the day crying, so I'm with you. Anyone else feeling it, or Jan? Yeah, you've been going through stuff.
I know it's like shit is hitting the fan, but I just wanted to say, like you were saying, endings, end of patriarchy. A lot of this stuff is not going to go down without a big skirmish. So it is going to be, expect that it's going to be kind of loud and messy and a lot of screaming back and forth. And also in America, I saw you I think you put the map of America. Did you do that?
Oh yeah, that was from another one,
Is
but
that from another
yeah, it was up.
This is kind of wild now. I mean, you've got these camps that are kind of blaming the other, like, we're right, we have the truth. It's kind of wild. Yeah, there's a lot of rigid structures being bashed.
Yeah.
It's not smooth sailing. It's rough. It's rough out there. And there's a lot of chaos and yeah, everybody's feeling it. Yeah, don't take it personally.
Yeah, that's a great one. Not to take it personally, because even when we're having our own experience, which we need to have, it's like we are part of the collective and the oneness. So we're really having the experience of Mother Earth is what I'm feeling, and also the collective. So I think it's really helpful just hearing Sylvia and Jan share that, just to recognize, yeah, it's a bumpy ride. It's hard. It's really hard. Some days you don't want to get out of bed. Anyone else? We'll have a little time at the end too to Danielle. Yeah. Danielle, do you want to share?
Joanna, do you want me to?
Oh, Joanna.
Well, okay,
Either one.
sure. Joanna, I'll jump in there real quick. I just want to affirm what other people are saying, and also it has been difficult to have such a strong sense of truth around some of the lies and illusions and deceptions and the densities, and not being able to share in a way that other people could seem to be able to hear. it's like there's I see so many people around me just swept up with the vaccine is the best thing in the world and what have you. And for me, I get such a strong no. And that's just one example. But this has, so I have been feeling myself like almost alone. And so I so appreciate the opportunity to come together with others that, we may not all see things exactly the same, but there's a way that we're tapping into a deeper knowing. That I just wish I knew how to that or more mainstream. And I want to trust that there's a big enough alliance of all of us that are seeing through things, that we really can create the change. But I felt a bit kind of beaten down.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to be different. It's almost better not to talk about it, especially when people keep asking you, when are you getting your vaccine? When are you getting your vaccine? It's like, whoa. It's none of your business for one thing, but yeah, it gets exhausting. So thank you for being here. And yeah, Joanna, do you want to?
Yeah, I relate as well with a lot of what everyone has been sharing. I loved Sylvia when she said that she teaches muggles about the magical world, because I use that term all the time. It's like either you're mudblood or muggle or magic. And my fiance is a muggle, so that's our big household joke is the muggles and the magical beings in our home. But I've also been kind of contemplating about like different prophecies. So I remember when the 2012 was happening and it was like the end of the world coming. And I remember Y2K and it was like the end of the world, but it was more of like end of time of a space that was happening. So I feel like we're in this like level or layer or shifting of some new way of being. And the one thing I remember, especially in the 2012, was like, make sure you have a spiritual practice. Like make sure we have something where we can go to. And I feel like right now is the time that it's coming into play, is like taking all of our tools that we've been preparing for the last 20 years or however many of us have been doing this work, and putting them into an action, into a plan of some sort, and kind of bringing those to fruition. So we have all these tools and now it's time to really use them on ourselves and share them with others. And that's kind of been my focus with quarantine, has been like sharing with friends and family and as many reaching people as I can share with. So that's kind of what I've been chewing on in the last little bit here.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, I think part of why I've been called to do these calls too is the need for community, just to be with each other, and even if we're just hang out or, but to be able to say our truth and be seen and honored for the way we walk through life. So, and one of the messages too that came through Yeshua doing a lot of this earth healing lately was, he really wanted this to be spread. And I know we know this, but it's always good for me, and I think for all of us, to be reminded again and again of just the importance of how powerful each one of us is. We are really in our mastery now as creator beings, and we can manifest very easily, very quickly, with our thoughts, with our heart, with our energy, with our intentions. And so it's really important to pay attention to what we want to create, what we want to dream in. And so it is requiring a lot of energy to not fall into the old beliefs and habits or the dramas, or be part of the world, the matrix, or whatever you want to call that world. Like to really, like when I'd see myself getting sucked in, go, oh, wait a minute, that's not my world. I'm really standing firm and creating something different with all of you. really learning to stand up firm and strong and speak out, or just hold that light in a different way. So so it felt important to share that message of, and it's not like, don't, I think it's important for us to share our shadows and what we're feeling and be real and authentic at the same time, you know, be real with the shadows too, of, you know, how can we be creating the world we want to live in, you know, at the same time we're dealing with our own stuff or stuff around. So it is like it's a dance. So does anyone have anything before we play with the fairies? Okay, yeah. Mary, yeah. Yeah, you unmute.
Yeah, I have the great good fortune of being involved with a lot of indigenous people. And we're doing a lot of work together and branching the divide between us. And because we all have a very similar goal of wanting the earth to be in harmony, but also taking out what we call, or some do call, the criminal mind out of the world and how it operates, because it's almost like a particular spirit was lodged into the people a long time ago. And maybe it started with the elite or something, but everybody really joined in and co-created or allowed this world to happen. This world where a lot of people, there's a few at the top and we're all kind of serfs, and we're not, spirit's not recognized, and the communion of all with life is not recognized. It's seen as a usury type of situation. So what I would like to offer as something that would be maybe heartening is that a lot of us together in that are doing work between different, like the Aboriginal people, the people from South America. We've been getting together like constantly and praying this in, but also kind of working together on different ways we can bring this energy in. And what I've found with a lot of people is they tend to get into these polarized conversations where they're just saying, you're wrong, I'm wrong. And instead, they're not going to an energetic solutional body of work. And I've found that with people even that are very interested in enlightenment and realization practices, getting involved in that also. Mm-hmm. And what I've found is that in that, it stops us because we get enraptured in this spirit that has taken hold, rather than extricating ourselves from it and moving into a new position and then taking a leadership stance in that. So I just want to encourage all of you, and if anybody wants to friend me or whatever, that I know quite a few people working on this other way. And part of it is to bring in the indigenous ways back into ourselves and start reaffirming and reconnecting with the parts of us that know on some level that there is relationship with all that there is. And instead of the idea that we're a deficient person and we are born with original sin as an example, and that we need to extricate ourselves through someone else and their power. Not that Christ himself, he was not part of that whole system, that he is being used right now. He's being used as a puppet for this spirit that wants to divide us. So anyway, that's what I see is happening. And yes, I feel the sadness also, as a few people I know that are extricating are getting even more somewhat into selling their wares and upping their prices and doing all these things that are really counter to this realization of sharing the land, of being in harmony with the land, being a caretaker of the land, being a caretaker of all that is, being in harmony and relationship. So, but I know quite a few people that are doing quite a bit of work. And because that work has a momentum, I'm keeping focused in that momentum. And we're getting a lot done. And in that, it, and we're also doing our own personal work to keep connecting so we can lead in that way. So anyway, I just want to say that I believe something good is happening outside of that polarization. And if we turn our attention away from that polarization and then lead into the way that we want to see this happening and bring those people along with us versus even paying the attention to giving our energy to that. Yes, we have to see, and we don't want to be silly and stupid, and we want to know what we need to center our prayers on. But when we take that energy, we turn our head around and we go, okay, I know you're doing that. Now let me show you the way by me contacting source, what's the way? And then I start moving with source. I start doing as told, I start moving with all those connections and then lead in that way. So I just want to encourage everybody because I've seen a lot of good work being done. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's what I have
thank
to
you
say.
for sharing that, Mary. Yeah. And yeah, I'd have to say this kind of group is very much in alignment with that. So appreciate you being here with us. Okay, I think we'll dive into the meditation and any other so I want to do some offerings first. I've lit a candle for spirit, and I'd like to start by inviting everyone to move deeper into their heart, into their body. And I have some tobacco here, so I'd like to start by acknowledging and honoring all the indigenous tribes for the lands we all live on. For me, it's the Cowlitz, Yakima, and Chinook people. And so just holding within yourself the tribes for the lands you are on, if you know their names or just the tribes, acknowledge them. And we'll ask for those healed and whole ancestors of the indigenous tribes to join us in this work with the fairies, the elementals, the spirits of land, the ancestors, the grandmothers. Thank you. And I'd like to call in, I've got some beautiful bee pollen and orange and frankincense and mica. And I'd like to give an offering to the fairy realm, the Sidhe, the elementals of the air, earth, fire, and water, the dragons, the fairies, the sylphs, the gnomes, the unicorns, the magical ones. Call upon the plants, plant kingdom, the crystals of Mother Earth and her crystalline grid, connecting to that grid for the communication system and connecting to the animals and asking permission to work with all these beautiful spirits of nature, of the lands. We'll give this offering to them and ask permission. And I invite you to call in your own guides and healed and whole ancestors, your own fairy spirits, angels, ascended masters, goddesses, devas, the whales and dolphins, the mermaids, the undines. And so we'll start welcoming to our circle all these beautiful beings of light, the unseen beings and the seen beings of nature. And then open our channel, our crown to the heavens, to the sun, the great central sun. Connect with the grid of the great cosmic sun and all there is and source light. And then allow that light to come down and fill you up, fill your body. Allow your grounding cords to go deep into Mother Earth. So you're really connecting with her oneness. Imagine you're connecting as one with the spirit of Mother Earth. And just feel into that energy and allow that energy to move up your body as well. And just let yourself tune into your physical body, your energy body. Just breathing in and out, moving your energy into your heart, into your womb or hara. And we're opening the sacred space, protected in the Christed light, with Archangel Michael and all the beings of light. So you are safe. You can let your roots go deep into the earth and feel the safety of her arms, her love. Invite the spirit grandmothers to be with us as well, to help us through those human emotions and shifts and changes. I'm seeing the gnomes coming forward and the fairies and all the beings of light. And they're asking us to really weave a circle together. We have this beautiful group of people, this mastery, weaving the circle of joy all together to be able to carry and hold more love and light and support for each other and more connection to the oneness that we all are. And they're asking us to let our hearts open to more of the joy that is available, that is present on this earth, that is in the world that we are creating, that we are feeling. Even at the same time, we may be feeling sadness and hardship. There is light, there is joy. And they've offered to come and help us integrate more of this energy. There's been a lot of beautiful energy coming through this Easter, through this time of resurrection, of spring, of the flowers blooming, of the sun shining. So allowing yourself to, you can imagine even that you have a flower on your crown and that is opening, unfolding more petals, and the flower of your chakras, your heart, the front and the back of your heart, receiving more energy, receiving more light. And knowing that that often when we feel grief or we feel some difficulties, it may just be more light is coming in. So asking for ease and grace, the integration. And the fairies have offered to come, the flower fairies and the water fairies and the fire, and the dragons and all these beings are offering to come in and work with your body elemental in any way that you could use support, that you could feel more love, more oneness, more togetherness. So just be open to, there might be someone that comes forward to help you, different beings. Or even if you don't recognize them, just open to that light and receive. I can see lots of fairies and butterfly wings and bee energy. We're just going to let them kind of do their dance around the circle, like weaving sacred geometry. It's like holding more sacred space, holding a stronger container of love and a stronger sense of love in your own body. So just open to what you see or feel or sense in the space. If there's colors or movement or different beings. And I'm seeing too that some of these fairies are really small, like trooping fairies that can go into the heart, can go inside our hearts, go inside our bodies, and use their wings in a really gentle way to open space in our cells, in our heart. To allow more love to flow, allow more rainbows. The gnomes are also sending lots of rainbows into our hearts. And if there's any other way that you're receiving the healing, just let that happen and open. But they are asking us to really feel our feet firmly planted on the earth and imagine we are connected to that crystalline grid, just all the crystals. Imagine the stones, the trees, all those really strong beings in the mountains. In this area, we have Lewitt, Pateau, and East. These 3 sacred mountains. You might think of the mountain in your area where you live or that's nearby. We can call upon those spirits. And they're really asking, or they're really offering to help us ground our energy in a really strong way, to be more in oneness with Mother Earth and feel more of that safe sense of being connected. And knowing that when we connect this way, it's much easier to navigate all the human ups and downs because we are connected and anchored. We don't have to rely on just our own body. And now that sense of endings and new beginnings, just want to draw in any way that you may feel, and just to honor that feeling of grief, that feeling of letting go, that feeling of, is there something that is sort of unraveling within you? Something that's being rewoven. So there's some things that need to still be unwoven to create space for that. So just allow, the fairies are really good at that. The dolphins also really helpful for any kind of unraveling. And as we do this, we can connect into the Mother Earth and know that we are supporting the unraveling of any aspect of her body that is needing to shed and release and just surrender to greater light. And so just even using gravity to allow any of that to move through your body and out in the world. And that each one of us in our circle kind of represents that portal, that place where this column of light, this bright light of creation can allow the transformation and the ushering in of the new. So just whatever way you see that, you can start opening to what is new, that wants to be blossoming within you, any frequencies, any qualities, any colors. You can open to the beings. I'm seeing some keys. So if there's some places that need to be unlocked, doors unlocked, to allow more light to come in, you're being gifted with keys, the key you need for your own self, or there may be a sacred site on the earth, a place on the earth. And just seeing some new doors are opening. And it feels like they're really asking us to stay grounded in this, even though we're opening to these different dimensions, but really allowing your body to integrate and experience all of this healing, all this connection to the Mother Earth, and also this connection with Spirit, the Sun and Source. So just letting that stream through your body, stream through our circle. And through this circle, I can feel a lot of light codes coming through from Star Nation, brothers and sisters, from the divine, from God, Goddess, Mother, Father, God. That golden consciousness, that Christ consciousness. So allow that golden light to enter your crown, enter your palms, enter your heart, your womb or hara. And there's a lot of celebration among the fairies and the elementals, like a dance of creation, a dance of sovereignty, dance of freedom. And so you can imagine in our circle, we're dancing together as one in one direction and then the other. And in this dance, the light is spreading for Mother Earth. She's asking for that joy, for us to be in joy, for us to be in that dance of creation. And to remember your wings, spread your wings. The dance can be in the air as well. And for a moment, if you're called to go to a sacred site or a special place on the earth to bring a blessing, bring your love, plant some golden fairy dust, we'll just give you a moment to do that, to spread this around. Each time we sprinkle this golden light with the fairies, the elementals, the ancestors, and I can see all the different traditions and religions, all of the spirits wanting to take part in the oneness of this dance of unity, that we're contributing to the greater light on the planet, and to bringing light to the places of shadow and darkness, to those places that are really falling and needing to end and are in that process. We can honor those energies, but just hold space for them to fall with grace and ease. And I'll invite you to be with your guides and just anything else that you feel you're called to do for the Mother Earth or for the lands where you are. You can do that for a few moments, and then we'll come back in the circle. And I can feel that we're doing some work on the humanity light grid, seeing that gold and seeing that healed and whole and holy. And just asking for all these beautiful beings that are working with us to hold space for humanity and the shifts. And for all our bodies, our physical bodies, and all we're going through, integrating things with ease and grace. Ooh, nice. I'm seeing lots of color as we move back into our circle, kind of into that portal, seeing it sort of finish up. Lots of celebration, happiness, joy. So just let your heart receive that. Feel that in your body, that lightening up. And know that lightening up, that lighting up is for each one of us to carry and hold and share that light on the earth, with the Mother Earth, with all the beings, helping connect with all others of light. You can just see it kind of moving all over the planet, seeing all the lights of all the flowers and all the waters and the fairies and the Manahuni and goddesses and the mountains. Nice. So just make sure you're grounded back in your body as you start moving back in, connecting to the mountains and the earth. So feels really, I feel a lot lighter. I feel like the earth feels lighter. Beautiful work together. I could really see and sense this beautiful weaving of this circle and all this dancing of these different energies that are with us. So thank you all for being part of this. I'd love to open and if anyone wants to share any experiences.
I will. That swirling you were talking about, I felt like I was almost in a river, but it was energy and constant motion, but gentle, gentle. And I ended up having a life review of all of the fantastic experiences that I've had that brought me in contact and presence of very powerful teachers, medicine men, and from all over, the Dalai Lama, high Mayan priest from Guatemala, just amazing. And the messages were almost all the same. The Mayan priest was telling us in a gathering, it was in 2012, and he was talking about the shift from the masculine to the feminine. And that I can't remember I don't do numbers well now. And I think it was the last 6,000 years and the next 6,000 will be feminine. But he talked about how that will bring balance once again and the feminine in the masculine so that we can learn to act as one. And from the Dalai Lama, it was compassion. Compassion, compassion, compassion. And from a lot of the other teachers I've been blessed to experience, it was no judgment. Each person is here to walk their path. They need to learn certain things and perform certain things, as do we all. And how can you judge another person's path? And I find myself reminding myself of that when, like all of you, you talk about the turmoil and the conflict and the bickering. And it's so easy to drop into judgment and say, no, no. And I kept seeing myself on a tight wire that was loose, and I was swinging on one foot, trying to get my balance. But that's kind of how I've been feeling, is it's not stable, it's not secure, but I can find my center and I can balance within me. And I think that's what I would like to share the most is I think all of us here know that we chose to be here at this time because we had certain things we could help with the transition to the next world. And we're in the labor pains right now of birthing the new world. And I really appreciate everything that the people have shared, and I can identify with it. And I thank you for being so upfront and sharing your thoughts and experiences. So thank you. Thank you, Camilla. You're a treasure.
Thank you, Grandmother Sandy. That was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
A little piece. That was so powerful. Thank you so much for creating that with us. I went to the ancestry realm when you said sprinkle the fairy dust anywhere in the world. I was on this land where actually during quarantine last year, my fiance's sister, and we all went down to Albany where they're from. And she actually we bought like family plots. I know it sounds like a bit not that inspiring to go buy land where we're going to rest later, but it was really magical. And I was honoring that land. It's a beautiful pioneer cemetery down in Albany in this small town, the beautiful view. And I was down on this land and just like you said, gold fairy dust. So I was putting all this gold fairy dust on it and then connecting to the ancestors on that land because his family has like 200 years of pioneer family there on that land, but my family is not there. And I was just connecting with I was almost talking between the stones, kind of like Outlander, you can time travel through the stones, but I was on the other side with my cousin who just passed last month and my uncle and my grandma and grandpa, and sort of connecting I was between the realms. So I was here, but I was there as well, having a bit of a little adventure. Yeah, it was really powerful. And it was just speaking through the rocks, doing that rock medicine. Yeah, thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Joanna. Sylvia?
So I also went to this land, and I went to the land where I live in Port Townsend, and I asked it what its name is, because I don't know the name of this land, and to be able to kind of connect this place in love. So I experienced the meditation, which was so beautiful. Thank you so much. It was just fabulous. And I experienced it really just as light. I didn't see any beings. I just experienced light. And I have started a practice of something that I imagine is tying knots in the cord of love. So I do this work with a net of light, and I imagine the net of light, but I also am tying knots in specific places. And I do that in my embodied life, like when I'm stuck on hold for 3.5 hours with somebody from Delta Airlines, and I finally get that woman. And her name is Sasha, and she lives in Singapore. And then I have a half an hour conversation with her where I ask her how she is. And she tells me no one in all of the years she's worked doing that kind of work has ever asked her how she is. And so I try to actually build a physical connection, like not physical, but like an actual connection with this person. And I find out what her name is, and she tells me about her family, and we talk about the vaccine, and we talk about how has this year been for her. And I say that I am so grateful to her, and I send her love and light, and that I will pray for her. And she tells me that she will pray for me and my family. And so in this, I'm actually tying a knot in the cord of love, which I then also try to practice in my meditation. So all the places, all the trees that I've ever loved, in your meditation, I was going to those places and tying a knot and sending the net of light. And I haven't experienced that before, but it seemed really important to know the name of this place where I am.
Nice.
Because I think the more we know the names of places,
Yeah.
the more respectful we are, and the stronger that knot can be, or something like that.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful. Yeah, the connection can grow in relationship. Danielle?
So for me, what was, I mean, first, I just want to say what a powerful container, Camilla, you were able to create for all of us. And just for us coming together as a circle, that just felt so easy. And the color that was coming through for me at first was a really bright white light. And then it shifted into like a rainbow, but it was a rainbow with all the pastel colors.
Hmm.
And that was, it just seemed to like, it just wanted to wash over everything. And it felt like just a healing, soothing, peaceful kind of energy. And then the place that I was drawn to put the fairy dust is Fort Rock. And Fort Rock in the central part of Oregon, where there had been trauma with the indigenous people. And that has been a place that I've just felt has been like a heaviness or trauma had been locked in. And anyway, the combination of those colors of the light, as well as just bringing that attention there, it felt like it was lifting. So thank you so much for
Nice.
that.
I love that. Yeah, the places where the trauma and the indigenous people. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you. I know we're a little bit after. I'm happy to stay on and listen if anyone needs to go. It's 5 after 6, but I'm happy to stay on and because I'd love to hear everyone if they want to speak. But if you need to move off, that's fine. Jan, did you want to say something? You look like you're getting ready.
It's like I was working on the United States, and I keep on going back to the Grand Tetons and the light kind of coming into the Grand Tetons and then go spreading out and then coming out in what is it called, Devil's Peak and Mount Shasta. So there's like the circulating of energy, just like let's clear this, but working with the mountain spirits and then working with the grid with the Sasquatches, all holding it. And the indigenous energy was coming in with the she. Like, how do we just, everybody's so trigger happy in America. It's so like, ah. Just like it was just like a big like clearing. Let's just like funnel, just like take a hose and just kind of try to clear this out. But does anybody know anything about the Grand Tetons? Like who? I keep on going. It keeps on coming up. I need to kind of research it because
Yeah, it seems like
it's like, yeah,
there's something there.
there's something there.
Yeah, I've been there and I've experienced pretty magical, like before I was really doing a lot of this work.
Hmm.
It was like, whoa, this place is
Yeah,
over the top. And I was backcountry skiing and I'm like, whoa, this is like heaven. but I have heard people talk about it as like really important sacred place. So I'm sure there's people that can connect with that, you know, find them.
Saint Germain talks about the Grand Tetons as
Oh,
being
okay.
very sacred sites. Yeah.
Okay.
That
Nice.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. But thank you, Camilla.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Mary? Mhm.
Yeah, a few things. I kept on seeing a little songbird. That seemed to be what was drawing my attention. But
Could you speak a little bit
oh
louder?
yeah,
Yeah, that's better.
sorry.
Thanks.
For some reason, this computer has trouble with its
Oh,
sound.
the audio thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was connecting to this little songbird quite a bit. It just kept on popping in, and for some reason that was what was connecting with me. But I did want to say something about what Sylvia was talking about, because in one of the groups that I'm involved in, we're researching the original or the more original names of the places, because there's a pre-colonization vibration that is happening that was more of a respect and stuff. So when you say that name, it kind of, a lot of the old languages don't have the thought form in them of conquest, or they don't have a thought form in them of division between you and the world, and so you see yourself as part of it. And so I think what you were saying, I'm in Los Angeles, so I went down to this river and I found the original name of it. And when I was singing it, it just felt so amazing and freeing. And so I just love what you're talking about. And I do also want to, I might have come off a little bit know-it-all-ish at the beginning. I hope I did not, but that's just, when I was speaking about all that, I was just trying to say that's my experience right now, what I'm experiencing, and not that everybody has to follow suit with whatever I was talking about. So I just want to apologize a little bit, but yeah, I really love the idea of the original vibrations of things, and to kind of connect in with that part of us that's unsullied. And that's why I'm doing a lot of also research on original languages and what was going on energetically in that language. And so the songbird,
Yeah.
that's what
The
I just
singing,
kept getting, the
the
songbird.
singing of the original songs, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just to say, you're at the beginning, it felt like it was nice to hear your passion for this. So it's all good. I think
Thank
we
you.
all
I
need
really
to, like, right? We need to speak and say it, even if we're speaking to people who know it. It's like, it's our voice. It's like so important to be able to just, yes, I need to say this. And it's important for our voices to express it.
I just want to
So
say that I really appreciate all of you and the experiences you've had too. And I know that we all have a lot to learn from each other. And so I thank you for letting me be here.
yeah. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I love when you talk about the original, like that's the 3 mountains around here. I use the original names when I talk about them, and it always feels so wonderful. East, Lewitt, and Pateau, instead of Mount St. Helen, East, and Mount Adams. Like those don't feel like the right names at all. And the same with like the rivers, like singing the original, the names of the Devas, singing them back to them. It feels really important. and nourishing, and for everyone, for us and for the spirits of the land. So anyone else? I don't know if Joan, you wanted to speak?
I just want to say that I'm sitting here feeling so peaceful.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you noticed, but my cat kept jumping on my lap about 3 times during the meditation. And of course, it took me out of that deep feeling that I was experiencing. But I thought she needed to be here. I thought she was drawn here. And she kept coming up, and her energy was mingling with all of ours. And it was really just the way it was supposed to be. But I want to listen to the meditation without her and go to where I started to go. I was at first experiencing the guardian of the land where I am right now in Texas. And Sandy and I have talked about that before. And I really was there. I loved the scattering of the fairy dust. I was in the Adirondacks doing that.
Oh.
Cats jumping on me, but I did feel that, and that's a sacred place for me. So I will continue, and but it was beautiful, and I am just so centered and so peaceful at this moment. So thank you, and thank you all for sharing. I am so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you. The Adirondacks is sacred to me too. I grew up going there. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
As a child. Yeah. So that's fun.
Mhm.
So I think, is that everyone? I think so. So I think just to close, the fairies just want us to know we're free. And in some of the the work I've been doing, like a lot of doors were opening in the fairy realms that have been closed. So I feel they're communicating in that big way that a lot of doors, new doors are opened. A lot of things are opened. There's self-sovereignty, the freedom. It's here now. I think we know that, but just remember and keep holding that love. Yeah. So I just want to close the circle and thank the beautiful spirits, all of the spirits of the land, the indigenous spirits, the fairies, elementals, she, Sasquatch, the dolphins and whales, all the animals, the trees and plant spirits, the stones and crystals, the grandmothers, the animals. I think I said that. The Mother Earth herself, the dragons. And just thank you so much for being in circle, all of you humans and all of these beautiful beings. It's such a blessing. I feel so much gratitude. I feel a lot of sparkly magic energy in my being now. So thank you, and continue to be with us and work with us and share the magic and the fairy dust all around. But for now, we'll close the circle and release the spirits. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you.
Thank you, Camilla.